Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad, and welcome back to another Blue-White Spirits in Modern video. So, it's actually been a pretty long time since we've touched this deck for the videos, and honestly, it's been a pretty long time since I've touched the deck since Zendikar Rising came out anyway. So, we're going to check out two of the most exciting cards to come out for this archetype in a pretty decent amount of time. Of course, Skyclave Apparition, and we have talked way more than enough about this on the channel, but the card's great. We're playing for. We appreciate it. I wish it could fly, but honestly, it's good enough. I've no complaints here. And the second card we're playing is going to be Glasspool Mimic. Now, Glasspool Mimic is going to be a subpar clone and a subpar land, but that is great for us because all we really want is the versatility this card provides. And that lets us take our real land count down to 19 from 20 or sometimes even 22, or 21 rather. Now we get to play 22 lands in our deck, but 3 of them can become creatures. That is super sweet for a deck that really just wants to guarantee that we hit a couple land drops and not run out of gas. Glasspool Mimic does a fantastic job at both of those things. Other than that though, everything in this deck is pretty standard fare, except for the fact that we are running 2 copies of Lofty Denial. So we've got Wanderers, Spectral Sailors, you know, your standard 2 Shacklegeist, 2 Selfless Spirits, some Supreme Phantoms, Drugskull, Spellqueller, very normal stuff here. We are playing only 1 Moreland Haunt today because we're playing 3 Cavern Souls, and Cavern plus Moreland Haunt can turn into a little bit of a non-bow. They don't really play nice with each other, but both cards are great, so we're still playing both. Also, what we would like to notice here is some stuff going on the sideboard. Now, we've got 3 Ceremonious Rejection just because we still want to have cards that pull double duty but are very strong. Tron is seeing a bit of an uptick in the format again, so we want to make sure we're ready for that. And also, Oops All Spells is doing a lot of great work, and Ceremonious helps against both Goblin Charbelcher out of that deck, and with all of the artifact mana like Pentad Prism, Talisman of Green-Black, whatever that one's called. And Ceremonious pulls great double duty there. Again, we've got Surgical, 2 Grafdigger's Cage. Cards are here for, you know, fairly obvious reasons. We are playing 2 Damping Spheres, but to be honest, I don't even really know that I like that card right now. Like, against the more fragile combo decks like Storm, I don't know that we necessarily need the help. Against Primeval Titan, we have things like Unified Will that we could be playing instead, and the matchup is honestly so bad that I don't know that Damping Sphere really helps it out. But I do like the Unified Will out of the sideboard. Not that many decks are playing a ton of creatures, so Unified Will is a pretty good sideboard spot against all of those things. Again, like Oops All Spells, we have 1 creature in play, they play Balustrade Spy, we counter it, their life sucks. That's kind of a thing I like here. 2 Force of Negation, and this is another card that I'm a little iffy about right now. I think that this spot would be better suited by playing just like Athalia. Because, like, against the decks that we do want to play Force against, usually like Tron, control decks with the Fairy, stuff like that, we would be better suited by either playing things like Mystical Dispute in the event of specifically the Uro pile decks, because like Mystical hits the Teferi half of their deck, but it also hits both Uro and Amenath, so I think Mystical might be a little bit better there. And really, what else do we want Force of Negation against anyway? Like, it's not great against Death Shadow. Actually, it's actively terrible there. It's not good against Jund. So I think I'll be revisiting that sideboard spot in the future. But the spice here is going to be 2 copies of Entrancing Melody. Now, this card is one that's actually been a bit of an all-star in other formats, like Pioneer, like Standard. But I think specifically what we want Entrancing Melody for is going to be for those Death Shadow decks that are playing like Scourge of the Skyclaves, Death Shadow, Dark Confidant, and all of those things that look much better on our side of the table than it would on theirs. Also, it's a good thing to add in against, say, humans, where cards like Lofty Denial out of the main absolutely suck. But if we can, like, steal their 5/5 champion in a parish, that's pretty sweet. So I think that's a thing that I would like there. I don't know, it's a card I wanted to test out for a little while, and I think this is the appropriate metagame to do it in. And then just complementing all of the rest of that is going to be a Path to Exile. So that's going to be what we're jamming here, and now that we know what we're playing, we're going to jump right into some game matches. Alright, so we got round 1, we are on Spirits, so we actually get to keep a little bit of a banger of a hand here. See, we're on to play. We got Wanderer, Shacklegeist, Supreme Phantom, another 1-drop, which, honestly, medium, but who cares, and a Path to Exile, so this is actually a pretty good look. I like all of this. So let's go ahead and check out what our opponent's playing here. Burst Lightning. Okay, so that tells us that they are definitely on Mono-Red Prowess, which could be annoying, but honestly, not that bad. Lava Spike, light up the stage into more non-creature spells, which is actually super relevant here. So if they like happen to bolt our Supreme Phantom, then honestly, so be it. But if it's not exactly a bolt on this, then I don't know that we really care that much. So we are going to play Spectral Sailor, and we're going to get to, what, 6 them? Yeah. So we're going to have to deal 6 damage to their face, which is pretty nice. And if they do start playing creatures here, then honestly, most of our life problems are pretty well solved by our hand, because we've got Skyclave and a Path to Exile. So, like, that Lava Dart's going to be a little obnoxious, but okay. Okay. And we're just going to draw a card with our Spectral Sailor, and life is just as smooth as we thought it was going to be before. So we get to Skyclave here, Path this Bedlam Reveler, and we're just going to jam this Mausoleum Wanderer because thanks to our Shacklegeist, we don't really need to worry too much about this Bedlam Reveler. So yeah, so we're just going to have our Supreme Phantom die. They're going to jam a bunch of spells, but unless they can do something about our creatures, we don't really care about what they have going on. If this Swift Spear is just going to be on blocking duty, then that's still completely okay because of that path. And life is grand once more. So that's going to be exactly 6 there, and if they had a spell to try to kill one of our creatures, we had this Mausoleum Wanderer's backup. So that's not a bad game 1 for us. So let's go ahead, jump into game 2, and see how that goes as well. Alright, so game 2, and our hand is honestly pretty reasonable, provided we actually get to play our 3-drops. And honestly, I don't even know that I'm really sad about that. Like, okay, so Burst Lightning light up the stage isn't that bad, because it's not specifically like Stormwing Entity, which our current hand isn't really able to handle too well. So I am glad that we got, I'm not going to say a completely irrelevant spell out of them there, but it's pretty irrelevant. And they used a whole bolt on that? Nice. So, since our hand is just 3-drops, basically what we're going to do is make them have the answer for our threats every single turn. Because if we start getting Drogskull plus anything, even without an additional land drop, our hand gets very dangerous very quickly, and they're going to just give us all the time in the world here. Wow. And Moreland Haunt might have actually just been like the best draw in the deck here, because we're still all the way at 13 life, and we've got, what, 6 creatures in the graveyard? So this thing is going to end up pulling some insane duty, getting us at least 1 extra card every single turn until they solve that problem. And what's even better is that we can back it up with Rattle Chains, so that's really, really nice. And I actually like this Glasspool Mimic meaning to draw too, because 6 lands means that we can cast a 3-drop and activate Moreland Haunt every turn, and that's pretty much exactly where we want to be here. So here we go, let's keep applying pressure. And I'll be honest, I actually don't really know why I chose to fight over this Kozilek's return. Like, we have 3 more creatures in the graveyard, we still have the Moreland Haunt mana up. I really should have just left that alone. Like, and they were taking spirit tokens, which at this point I honestly don't even care about because we just have a ton more. So it's not bad that we got that Soul Scar off the table and they're basically out of gas, but now they're going to get to take out all of these creatures as well, and our opponent must not have drawn another creature because, like, they pack it up anyway, even though their Kozilek's return is going to clear out all of this. So, yeah, we really should have just let that Kozilek's return resolve, and then trusted our deck that already had more gas than they did to just keep providing the gas and keep the threats running. Instead, we chose to just, like, play a bunch of cards, get this thing killed, get our Spell Queller killed, And we didn't really need to do all of that. So that was definitely a mistake, but we win anyway because our opponent's got basically nothing going on here. So good job to us. We are going to start off with 1-0, and that's the stuff we like. Alright, so we're shoving into round 2 here. We are 1-0, which is nice, and we also lost the die roll, which is not great. But this hand, not that bad. So we've got lands, Vial, a couple of clones here, Skyclave, provided we draw another white source. And yeah, so I guess... Okay, so we're playing against green white, which I absolutely hate playing against, but can't really complain too much, because for what it is, our hand is certainly not bad. Yikers. Okay. Hey, alright, sweet, never mind. Alright, so complaining is over. So we get rid of that, we get to start attacking, and without a Dryad on the table, this deck is still medium scary, but nowhere near as scary as it could be with a Dryad on the table. So we're just going to go ahead, jam our land there, and I honestly don't know that I like our land drop specifically being the Moorland Haunt. We really should have saved that because this Elvish Reclaimer has the ability to go look for like a Field of Ruins or a Ghost Quarter or something, and we don't actually want to use our Moorland Haunt right now because we don't have any creatures in the graveyard. So that was definitely just a mistake on that end. So here, because they are playing that call on their own turn and everything, we know they're going to get a Dryad, which is why I felt comfortable letting the call resolve and then countering the Dryad. Or rather, using our Spell Queller on a Dryad. It's not actually a counter. So that's why we're okay with that, and we have to notice that a fetch land makes this thing a 3/4, which is also why we didn't attack with our Skyclaves. So we don't want to like give them free real estate. Which is a little unfortunate this Rattlechains happens to not be like a Supreme Phantom or something. Because getting these things up to a 4/4 would be super sick, but whatever. Let's keep it going. Alright, so they do have a Primeval Titan, which I think is actually a little too late to be threatening. Like, they can get, what, a Bounce Land and a Radiant Fountain and go up to 15, and nope, they're actually just going to get Fielded at that. Okay. So they're going to be at a maximum of 13 life, which I don't think is good enough. Alright, so we get double Lords. And yeah, so we're going to kill them exactly dead here. I don't know that we should have drawn a card instead of playing Rattlechains there, but whatever, we obviously get there anyway, so that was pretty sweet. And yeah, so we're going to get game 1 on one of the harder matchups we have. So let's go ahead and check out game 2. Alright. So this hand is slow, but I guess at least serviceable, so whatever, we keep it. Okay. And that's not what I wanted to see there. What I really wanted to see there was a creature we actually wanted to interact with, like, say, a, oh, what's the card I'm looking for? Like a Reclaimer or a turn 3 Dryad or, you know, something along those lines, instead of a creature that we basically just don't get to interact with. Blaststone's also a little annoying out of these decks, but okay. So here we're just going to start jamming creatures, making them have solutions, and at least pressuring their life total. Now, we do need to be a little aware of this Blast Zone, but other than that, I think we're doing okay. Eladamri's Call sucks. They got Primeval Titan, which is castable right now, so that's really awful. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we are going to let that resolve, and we're going to path that before the Primeval Titan trigger goes off, because they're already going to get copies of Field of the Dead, right? So if they get 2 Field of the Dead, right now they get 4 zombies. That sucks for us. But if we let them get Field of the Dead and then path to exile, they're going to get 6 instead of 4, when we could have just gave them the 4. So that's why we do that. And oh my god, Flagstones again is awful for us because now they've just got like a million zombies in. So we are gonna at least try to protect our things with the Spell Queller here, but we're pretty fragile, and they have the path, so we go ahead and pack that up. Because honestly, what are we gonna do about all of this? So let's go ahead and enter game 3. Yeah, that was super rough. And this is medium serviceable. The Lofty Denial, since we are on the play, is not the worst. 3 Supreme Phantoms, though, is actually not where I want to be. What I want to be, where I want to be, rather, in life, is going to be, like, in, in a land of instant speed interaction. Now, this Lofty Denial is really nice, because it means that we, thank God, don't have to look at that Dryad too long. But at the same time, like, a Blast Zone on either 1 or 2 is actually pretty devastating right now. So we are going to try our luck there. They do have the path, so that sucks, but at least it gives us our hard white source. I guess that's nice. Okay, they do nothing, which tells us that their current plan is leaning on that Blast Zone, which is still annoying, but at least not just the end of the world. And we play the Mausoleum Wanderer so that they are at least tempted to blow up both the Aether Vial and the Mausoleum. But at least we get to counter the Eladamri's call, so that's not bad. So here, they do have the ability to just go ahead and start blowing up our 2-drops, and they've got 100 lands in play, which... Huh. Why didn't we path to exile? Alright, so we definitely should have path to exiled there. Oh god, we're dead. And they're going to put a charge counter on that thing. Okay. So I guess this is why we didn't path to exile, but it sucks. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing again, cutting them off of 2 more zombies, but I'm sure they're going to get 2 Fielded Deads here. Yeah, so they're going to get 4 zombies, and with that Blast Zone up, this is going to be a really hard race to win. And we draw a land, so we are just definitely losing that game. So we go ahead and pack it up there rather than sitting through the next, 5 to 10 minutes being miserable. So sucks to be us there, but we at least tried to put up a pretty decent fight provided the hand that we had. And that hand just did not match up well against that Blast Zone. So sucks, but it's what it is. Yo, so we got round 3. We win a die roll, which is sick. We're coming off of 1-1, which is, not the world's best. But here we get to start off with 2 lands, a vial, a 1-drop to play off of the vial, good 3 drops. I am pretty happy with this hand overall. So let's see what's happening here. And, okay, Overgrown Tomb tells us that we're looking at Jundi things, whatever, they think Spell Queller. I don't even know that Spell Queller is actually the take, rather than taking Drogskell Captain, like, okay. Oh, okay, so they just have 2. That's fine. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to just jam both Spectral and Rattle Chains here. And then, yeah. So that way, like, if their hand is just... Okay, so a land here is actually pretty good because we have the Moorland Haunt. So, yeah, I'm... Wait, what? They didn't kill our Aether Vial. What? Okay, I'm surprised. So, yeah, so they made us ship the path, and they didn't get rid of Aether Vial, which I am very surprised by. But we do have the 4th land in play, which is super dope, because that means now that we get to, like, activate Spectral Sailor, and we get, which is what we're going to do. Ooh, look at that. Nice. So they spin Liliana, which is actually pretty good for them. But the discard is going to fail because we drew a 3-drop, so sorry, opponent. And we have exactly 4 power now, which is good enough to clear out Liliana. So life is even better there. And actually a 1-drop is pretty much exactly what we wanted. So either a 1-drop off of this or a 3-drop to Violin is not the instrument, haha. Is what we're gonna have here, so we can still activate this Moorland Haunt. So we are definitely in the no complaints part of life. What do we got going on here? Are you just gonna spin down Croxa? You are. Okay. So they're gonna go ahead and spin down Croxa, and to be honest, we couldn't really care less about that. So we're just gonna go ahead and make some more flyers, tell them that their life sucks real quick. And what? Okay. That's better. So we start deciding on whether we're going to do Spectral Sailor or hold up the same mana for Moorland Haunt, since we have a Spell Queller in the yard. And all of these non-flyers, honestly, we just like do not care. The only thing we really care about here is gonna be a removal spell on the a removal spell on this Mausoleum Wanderer, but they don't even have that. We also draw a Supreme Phantom, which is great. And even if this wasn't a Supreme Phantom, we still had Moreland Haunt to give this guy +1. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exactly 6. So I'm not going to say all the bases were covered because they have a lot of power and toughness to attack us with on the way back, but that was pretty good for us, all things considered. So that's going to be game 1 against Jund, and yeah, let's slide over to game 2. Alright, so up a game against Jund, and our hand is ultra greedy, but these are hands that we continue to keep, even though I probably shouldn't. So we decide to not be scared of exactly turn 1 Thoughtseize or Inquisition because we have the untapped land into Aether Vial, and that's a pretty happy place. But look at how not punished we get. Even if they did have the turn 1 Thoughtseize, we were already going to draw an Aether Vial for the turn. Granted, that does not make our keep good because we didn't know that was going to happen. But you know, sometimes your deck loves you. So that's what we're going to have happen here. And a Tarmogoyf at 0-1, not particularly scary. So we're going to just go ahead, play the other Vial here. And yeah, having the Vials at 1 and 2 now, this is pretty sweet. Yeah, this is not bad. So we're going to just go ahead and take our licks real quick, I guess. Now what? A Liliana, sure thing. So here we're just going to ship this Spell Queller because honestly it's pretty useless. And our plan with Double Vial is just going to be to find an opportunity to put in multiple Drog Skulls. So what we want to do here is start playing the creatures we care least about in order so that we can start getting the removal spells out of their hand. And we drew another card we don't necessarily care about either. So that's going to be great for the Liliana because we're just going to ship the Spectral Sailor. Like, okay, what do we care? We are going to take this 4, go down to 9. So that's pretty nice. And here we're going to put in the Supreme Phantom, but we are not going to blindly put in a Drog Skull. Okay, so actually I don't know that we should have played the land. But what we are going to do is go ahead and Supreme Phantom into Liliana, and sweet! So we test them for the removal spell, they don't have one, and now we've got double Drog Skull Captain on lock here. They are, even though we're at 4, they are under some pretty immense pressure to like get rid of some Drog Skulls. Oh my god, that's even better. Yeah, so now we've got 4 Drog Skull Captains in play. And, okay, so they pack that up, which is smart on them. So the reason they pack it up because they know that what we're going to do here is attack them for 10, take them down to 10, they attack here, we block here. So we're going to stay at 4 just outside of Lightning Bolt range, and we know they don't have a Bolt because they would have already used a Bolt on the Drog Skull Captain last turn when we activated our second Vial. So we already tested for that. So they can't have double Bolt, or even probably Bolt plus Ren and 6. So 4 is a relatively safe life total for us to be at. So we block here, and then we 12 them on the way back. And there's not really much they can do about it since our Drog Skulls all have Hexproof. So that's going to be a relatively sweet 2-0, and yeah, let's slide over to the next round. Yep, so we got round 4. We win a die roll, which is super dope. We are 2-1, which is not bad. And this hand is slow, but still not that bad. Like, we do need a little bit of early gas, but whatever. We'll get there. Yeah, let's see what happens. Uh-oh. Alright, so, okay, maybe I lied. Alright, so this means that we are against Oops All spells, and, well, if you look at our hand, it is horrendously slow, so good luck to us. Excuse me. Alright. Okay, so what we're looking for here is going to be like Lofty Denial, Spell Queller, and them not hitting a second land drop is actually really, really good for us. For 2 reasons. A, it means that this is a free turn to apply pressure, which we need. And Why didn't we play the glass pool? Okay. I guess we didn't play the glass mimic in case we drew exactly a spell queller for next turn, which I guess makes sense. But here they just decide they're not really going to deal with our nonsense. Because, yeah, like, if they don't draw another land exactly right now, then they're just stuck dealing with lethal, and they don't know that neither of these cards are Spell Queller, which we know that we don't have it, but they don't know that, I guess. So, yeah, that's going to be 1-0, and let's slide over to game 2. Luckily, we have a crap ton of hate against this deck in our sideboard, too, so that's really nice. None of it's there, and this is actually pretty decent. Like, we do need another land to make Spell Queller any good, but we've got the Surgical Extraction to hit the Narcomoeba, so this is fine. I mean, that kind of sucks a little, but whatever. Hey, look at us go. Wow, okay. So they actually just pack it up to the Grafdigger's Cage, and that's going to conclude the world's shortest round against Oops All Spells. So, yeah, look at us go. A whole, 45 seconds later or some shenanigans. But, yeah. Ta-da! Alright, so welcome to round 5. We just won round 4, rather, with, I guess, the Power of Friendship, or Grafdigger's Cage, or whatever you want to call it. But we did win a die roll here, which is pretty exciting, and we've got another one-land Aether Vial special. Here we're a little less scared because we see that they reveal Aluris, so we know they're not a Force of Negation deck. Also, if we see Aluris, triple Skyclave Apparition is extra dope. So we're hoping that they're going to be on Black-Red Shadow with the hand that we have. And, okay, Mishra's Bauble. So we still don't know that they're not on Shadow, but, okay. What? Oh, why'd we do that? Okay, that was bad. So, that was definitely not what we wanted there. Like, why did we... Okay. Yeah, so what we really should have done there is just use the Vial at the end of their turn to put in a Mausoleum Wanderer and then Spectral Sailored so that we had the better attacker on the table still. And, well, why we don't do that is beyond me. I have no idea. But, whatever. Lofty Denial is medium here. Like, it actually could do some good if we draw a land in the next turn. But that's not what happens here. Instead, they're just going to bolt our face, grow their Scourge. But we know that that's actually not that big of a threat because of these 3 Skyclave Apparitions. Once again, we would appreciate the additional land. But what we're going to do here is specifically hold back this Spectral Sailor because we want to at least make them use a Temur Battle Rage if they have it. Because either way, we've already got the Skyclave Apparition. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. Okay, so they bolt our creature, and now we just don't even really need to worry about Temur Battle Rage because, well, yeah. Alright, now what? Okay, so a regular Death Shadow this time, and a Bob. Okay, so Bob is a little concerning because they are empty-handed, and honestly, we would like to keep them that way. But, like, the Glass Bowl Mimic's not the world's worst draw. And unfortunately for us here, because we're only at 10, and they could draw a Temur Battle Rage, we want to specifically get rid of the Death Shadow, and we want to block the Bob with, again, specifically the Skyclave that has a 1-drop under it. That way they don't have a 2-drop that can profitably block our Skyclave Apparition here. So that's why we wanted to sequence it like that. But they do get another Death Shadow, which is honestly pretty good for them. Selfless Spirit's nice. Alright. So here we're going to get rid of yet another Death Shadow. We're going to swing in. They are going to block our 2/2. So that's fine. And now we've got Selfless Spirit to protect our 2 creatures in case of removal spell. Now, here we're not particularly scared of like them putting Luris in hand or anything like that. And that is what they're going to do. So honestly, whoa. Alright. And also we have the 4th Skyclave. So yeah, good job to us. What are they casting? Okay, so they cast nothing. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to pick this game up here. And yeah, let's go ahead and slide over to game 2. Alright, so we did just win that last game due to, you know, having 4 copies of Skyclave Apparition. Plus just keeping up gas where they didn't really have much aside from the creatures. So that's pretty nice. Oh man, we've got the Entrancing Melody. Oh yes, I'm ready. I'm here for it. And so once again, they're just killing off literally anything that looks like a creature. And, huh, they decided to take our Skyclave instead of Entrancing Melody. So I guess they either have another Thoughtseize or they just don't think this matters that much. Either way. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so that's pretty large. So now let's see what we got here. Oh, a path. A path is nice. Alright. So now what we really want is to just like draw another land so that we can steal this Scourge. But, okay. So once again, we do try to bait them into having like a Temur Battle Rage, but they don't, so whatever. Here they're going to cast something. It's going to be a Bob. Sure. Alright. So that is actually exactly what we want to see, so give me that Bob. A little sad that they didn't play like another Skyclave for us to take, but honestly, we will take a Bob. Oh. And looks like the well-known Bob rule works for us too. And the Bob rule is simply that the first time something is revealed, it's basically guaranteed to be a land. That's just how it works. Bob doesn't do anything else. And here, we're at 14, so we're going to take 3. We're not going to be too concerned about it. But we are going to be a little concerned about that Tarmogoyf. Oh, never mind. I lied. I'm a liar. Alright, go away, Goyf. And here, since we have Shacklegeist, we're also not terribly concerned about this Death Shadow. So yeah, like this is really good for us. And we're just going to tap Death Shadow now. We're not even going to play around anything. Like, nobody plays Sudden Shock, but, you know, whatever. Let's just not even worry about it. Tap it. And they can't do anything about this relatively large onslaught of creatures we got going on. So they're going to pack it up, and that's going to be a round. So, yeah. This deck actually performed really, really well. So, aside from the Primeval Titan matchup, which always sucks, and yes, we could dedicate like 3 or 4 more hate cards against the Primeval Titan matchups to make it somewhat salvageable. I'll decide later on whether that's really worth the effort, but that matchup aside, it was great. We 2-0'd every other deck. Our sideboard cards all looked super sweet when they came up. Like the Path to Exiles looked great. Entrancing Melody, you saw that. We just stole a Bob. That was sweet. We got to use just a ton of stuff. Like we had spots where if we had drawn Unified Will, it would have been lights out, especially against the Primeval Titan matchups. Like either of those games that we lost, if we saw a single Unified Will, bam, game over. So I actively like a lot of what we saw there, and if I was to try to hate on the Primeval Titan matchup, I think this is what I would do to the deck. So here, we'll notice that the sideboard is currently only at 14 cards, but playing 3 copies of Leonin Arbiter, I think, would just be the wave if we want to specifically hate on Primeval Titan. Because it stops the Eladamri's Call, it stops the Elvish Reclaimer, it stops Primeval Titan itself, and of course any fetch lands are just out. And I think that's what I would choose to do here if we were to go ahead and try hating on Primeval Titan, and that 15th sideboard spot could go towards, honestly, whatever we really want to hedge against. So if we notice that we're losing to a specific deck, like, I don't know, say you're having problems with, like, Oops All Spells, or, I don't know, Tron, even though the Arbiter's great there, too. Whatever you're playing against, there's a whole nother sideboard spot here to use to hate on that. So I think that is probably what I would do to this deck if I were to play it again in the future anytime soon. But other than that, it performed admirably. I absolutely loved everything about it, and this is definitely going to be an archetype that I'm going to continue jamming as we have for the last, what, like 6 or 7 months on this channel now. So, as usual, if you do like what you see, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all on the next one.